All right, this is Brett Marvick with BP Kitchen Equipment. We have here a 2017 Bizerba GSP HD slicer. For being a 2017, the slicer is it's in very good shape. The cosmetic condition is awesome, again, for being in 2017. You have some light use in the corners as is normal. Little to no scratching right here. The gauge plate also has a little to no wear on the edges. Again, pretty unusual. The gauge plate, let's see here. It also is in really good shape along here, which is usually where most of the wear is. The carriage is great. There's a little wear spot right here, but it's very normal. It's from this piece rubbing against the aluminum. And let's see. Yeah, again, to go back to the body, it's in immaculate shape. I mean, the corners are in really good condition. The gauge plate is worn for sure. You know, it's got some nicks, some scratches, nothing that we see that's out of the ordinary. And yeah, it also has a relatively new blade. The blade has barely been used, so this does have an almost brand new blade. So yeah, the slicer's in great shape. It's been a great deal for somebody that wants an older automatic and is willing to just get one that is the older style. So let's talk about the operation of the slicer. So this is turning on the blade. You can see here the blade is running right now. When you just turn on the blade, you can use this as a manual slicer. You can see here that I'm in control of the carriage, right? It moves back and forth only when I push it. It does have a these older styles have a very slight assist function. It's almost not noticeable. You can see here. It just kind of moves back a little bit. Yeah, it's almost imperceptible, but you know, it is there. But the real reason that you get an automatic and HD model is for this reason. So here we go. Is because you can run these automatically. So you can set your material in there, whatever you're wanting to cut, whether it be lettuce or pastrami or whatever. You can walk away and the slicer is going to cut for you. Here we go. So this is a manual feed. So you simply just put your item below it. Put your pastrami here, for example. Put this right on top, and it will automatically push down. Like, I am barely touching this thing. It just wants to push down. That's part of the gravity function, right? So all your product will slide down, and as your slicer continues to cut, it will fall back. So yeah, the cool thing about these automatics is this. You can turn on the carriage, right? So right now I have the stroke length on long, so it's going to go the full span. You can see here that it goes to about right here on the gauge plate, right? I'm going to move the stroke length to the shortest. So you can see now it's ending right about here, right? Have your medium setting. Whoops. Went to long. Medium setting goes to almost the end, and the long setting just goes a little bit past that. Additionally, you can have the speed change. So let's say that this is too slow for you, you want to ramp up production. It's going to get a little crazy because we're on the lazy Susan right here. But this slicer can speed up. You can also speed up while doing a short stroke length. So these slicers are great if you're looking to reduce the amount of labor. Automatics are just, they're awesome whether it's you or your employee that are operating them. It's just going to reduce the amount of time you're actually in front of this thing cutting. The real point though is if you're watching this video, you've probably already worked with Bizerba slicers, so why buy one from BP? We'll hear BP, whether it's Bizerba slicers or Hobart HTIs or ovens. We're going to start selling those pretty soon. We don't just test and wipe down anything. So I didn't just come over here, turn on, make sure that the blade works, cool. Make sure that the carriage stroke works, cool. And then just list it and go to sell it. I actually make sure that this slicer is going to be a long-lasting solution for you and your company. I make sure that you're not gonna have to pay somebody to come out here and service this thing anytime soon. What we do is we buy these on auctions just like other resellers, but we actually spend the time to service them. These automatics take me usually 6 hours, sometimes a little bit more, in order to make sure that they're fully functioning. To test, to test that the electrical components, like there's a board right here as well as a board on the backside. I tested both of those and make sure that there isn't any shorting, there isn't any low voltage errors. They're just perfectly good used boards that will continue to work for you. I also double check the mechanical aspect. So behind this is a grooved cam. I clean out that groove cam, I'll inspect it for any cracks, which does happen. There's a whole mechanism back here that I double check. It'd be hard to explain right now. But I go in there, I clean everything off of the old grease. That's probably from 2017. And I re-lubricate it with OEM H1 food safe grease from Bizerba, the same stuff that they would use. We really just take care of these slicers. We want these to be a long-lasting solution for you. I don't want you to, contact me in 3 months and say, hey, it broke. I want to leave a satisfied customer, so we warranty everything by 120 days. That's 4 months. I make sure that this is guaranteed to be a good solution for you and your business, and we're competitively priced. So we double check the mechanical. I make sure, for example, that back here, the bearing that the blade operates on is good. I'll tighten that, the belt, the drive belt if needed. Normally it needs to be a little bit tightened. Let's see. Make sure that the plastics are in good shape. One problematic part about these plastics, especially here, if there's like a little nick here in these corners, that means water can get in, which means water will get back. And if any water touches this board, they do go bad. So we really just make sure that everything is functioning as it should. We replace or repair things if needed. In this case, it was totally fine. And we re-lubricate. We really just service these equipment, all of the equipment that we sell before we sell it to you. I don't test and wipe down anything, but I make sure that it will work. Last thing, we calibrate the safety mechanisms. So right now the blade is exposed, right? I make sure that this carriage is going to be able to pivot back. It's a safety mechanism that Bizerba put in there. The moment that you recess the blade, you can pivot this back for cleaning. You can go in here and clean the blade, remove the blade cover, make sure that everything's good. I also calibrate this dial. These aren't arbitrary numbers, but this actually corresponds to millimeters. So right now, the distance between the blade and the gauge plate should be 3 millimeters. I make sure that it is. I make sure that, really just that these are tuned up. I make sure that when it's at a 0.5 millimeter, it actually cuts at a 0.5 millimeter. You will still get cuts when you're there. Let me think. We also sharpen the blade before we send it to you. So I'm gonna show you. So we'll cut at 2 right now. So, sheet of paper. Make sure that this blade is sharp enough to actually cut a sheet of paper. That way, whenever you go to cut your meat or whatever it is that you're wanting to slice, it's ready to go. The blade will not have any nicks. That does happen relatively often. The blade's not going to have any nicks. Something else that we do is we make sure that the blade has at least 66% of its lifespan left. So from Bizerba, you're going to have a 1 millimeter gap right here, and then it's going to go down to 6. Once it gets to 6, that's when Bizerba recommends that you replace it. As you use the blade, it wears down, right? So Bizerba recommends that once this gap right there gets to 6, you go ahead and replace it. I make sure that these blades have at least 66% of their lifespan. In this case, this blade is almost brand new. So you're really getting a good deal on this. I would assume that this would last probably like 2 years, but it depends on how much you're cutting. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My name is Brent Marbrick with BP Kitchen Equipment. My number is 720-334-0129. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much for watching this, and I hope you have a good day.